Hi, boys and girls. It's time for music class. Today I'm going to talk to you about different ways that we get music, how we read music. If you're a musician, you will have seen these different kinds of music. And Mr. Steve, when he was a music director, he actually edited and put together a book of songs, right? And it's called Songs of Life. And the people in the church would sing the songs each Sunday for Life Teen Mass. But look inside. Do you see any music? You see any music?
No, it was just words.
Those are words. I mean, if I didn't know any of these songs and you handed me this, I'd say, what a nice poem. But a lot of times people will hand a musician a poem and say, do you know this song? I'm like, well, I can see that those are words, but if I've never heard it, I don't know it. So a lot of times you'll see me with music like this, or if I give you something to look at that's music, it's more like that. All the staff and all the notes and up and down.
But Mrs. Johansson, that has piano music on it.
Uh-huh.
And what about these other things that are on top of the piano music? Do you play those or do you play the notes down here?
What do you mean those boxes on top?
Yeah, what are those things with the letters and that has a picture of what looks like a little bit like a guitar?
Well, do you guys know? Do you know what those little boxes are we're talking about? Okay, those are chords. Those are chord symbols. And most music has some addition of it that's got chords or piano music or what we call a lead sheet or a chord chart. And that's if you've got a song that you don't have all the notes written out. You might just have the chords. And that's really easy for a guitar player or a ukulele player or a bass guitar player that knows how to read the chord chart. They can follow along. If somebody knows, what's that word for the tune of the song?
The melody.
The melody. If someone knows the melody, they can sing, and as long as they've got chords, they don't have to have all this mess. They just have to have the chords, those boxes like that. But see, they don't even need boxes. They don't need the box. It could just be the letter. It could be the letter. And so we're going to show you a chord chart.
So you can play those chords on the guitar, and these boxes actually show you that picture is this part of the guitar right here. And so when it says, when it has a dot here and a dot here and a dot here, that's what it wants you to do.
Yeah.
It wants you to put your fingers right like that. So it tells you where to put your fingers.
Sydney, if you didn't even know how to play the guitar, those boxes would help you?
Even if you didn't know how to play guitar, if you looked at those boxes and you had a guitar, you could look at where to put your fingers.
Kind of like a road map, huh?
Kind of. And you wouldn't necessarily know which finger to put in those places, but sometimes it's kind of self-explanatory, like the C chord, which is the first chord at the top of this page here. So if you'll put your first finger here and your second finger there and your third finger there, you've got a nice C chord, and that's the way most people would play it. But you didn't know that it was supposed to be your first finger and your second finger and your third finger. So you could say, well, let's see, I know I have to put a finger here, and I know I have to put a finger there, and I know I have to put a finger there, but that would be really hard to do and uncomfortable, and it wouldn't make sense, and it would sound really bad. But it's the same thing if you put your fingers in the right place.
How would we know that?
You would just try it different ways. And if you could get a guitar book that teaches you where to put your fingers on the guitar, but if you'll go ahead and look at those boxes, if you try to do the wrong thing, it's gonna be hard. And if you try to do it right, it's gonna be easy. So like you could forget your first finger altogether and start on the second finger and the third finger and the fourth finger, and that would work, but it would be crazy. You wouldn't need to do that. But if you started with your third finger, it would be almost impossible to make that chord because there'd be no way to get your other fingers where they needed to be. You couldn't do it. So you start with your first finger on the one that's closest back here to this part of the guitar, and usually it'll just kind of fix itself.
So once you know those chords, you could play just from the name of the chord?
Absolutely. So if you knew that this is a C chord, all you would have to see is the letter C And when somebody shows you a C, you would know to play this chord. And if you saw a G, you would know to play that. And if you saw a D, you would know to play that.
So let's take a look at
A lead sheet, which shows the guitarist, bass guitarist, pianist, or any musician what the chord is to go with the lyrics.
We're going to talk today about some songwriting that we did a long time ago. And Mr. Steve used to be a youth director, like Mr. James is now. So, oh, and this is Abby, and she came to see you. Hi, boys and girls, I'm Abby. I don't really want to be
Say,
here.
hey, Abby.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Steve.
So, Mr. Steve, that's me, Mr. Johansson. I was a youth minister, and one of the things that we would do as a youth ministry, we would have retreats, and we would take a weekend, an entire weekend, and go somewhere special and spend our weekend basically having fun, but also kind of getting deeper into our relationship with God through Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. And when we would do these retreats, we would have a theme, and we would have a team that puts together the retreat, and we would think about it and pray about it and talk about it and come up with a theme. And this theme for this one weekend was called Feed Your Soul.
So this song is called Feed Your Soul, and we wrote it a long time ago, and we'd like to sing it for you now.
When I was feeling hungry, I'd stack my plate up high. When I was feeling thirsty, I'd drink till I was no longer dry. But I still needed more to get me through. Then someone told me what to do. Feed your soul. Eat up the things that will make you whole. Drink from the fountain of life. No more will you hunger or thirst or die. Feed your soul. When I was feeling tired, I'd close my eyes and rest my head. And when my hands were soiled and dirty, I'd wash them clean, but like I said, I still needed more to get me through. Then someone told me what to do. Feed your soul. Eat all the things that will make you whole. Drink from the fountain of life. No more will you hunger or thirst or die. Feed your soul. So if you're feeling empty, with the hunger you can't hide, there is only one thing missing that the world cannot provide. You still need more to get you through. Let Jesus tell you what to do. You gotta feed your soul. Eat up the things that will make you whole. Drink from the fountain of life. No more will you hunger or thirst or die. Feed your soul.
Thanks, boys and girls. I hope I see you real soon. Have a wonderful Holy Week and a blessed Easter. Bye-bye.
Be safe, boys and girls, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.